We all know there are issues with Wikipedia. We all know it. I've covered it plenty of times in the past about how Wikipedia has essentially hundreds of millions of dollars coming in, yet they spend a little tiny itty bitty bit of that on actually running Wikipedia. The Wiki Media Foundation has like a $500 million war chest that they predominantly use either to make more money or to invest in political causes. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But a new piece just published by piratewires.com is one of, I've got to say this, one of the best pieces of investigative journalism that I've read in a while. Really well done. It is in depth, and it is entitled How Wikipedia's Pro-Hamas Editors Hijacked the Israel-Palestine Narrative. A powerful group of editors is hijacking Wikipedia, pushing pro-Palestinian propaganda, erasing key facts about Hamas, and reshaping the narrative around Israel with alarming influence. This is absolutely fascinating. The sheer numbers and the amount of influence that these individuals have over what information is contained within Wikipedia is staggering. And the fact that so many organizations essentially bless anything from Wikipedia as the truth, as the gold standard of information, makes this absolutely terrifying. When you've got individuals who seem to be hell-bent on deleting facts, adding in false information and just made up data and clear, deliberate propaganda, and then you have things like Google search results where they push the Wikipedia entry for whatever you searched for right to the top of the results, as if that's the definitive answer for whatever you just searched for. That combination is terrifying. And to make this all even worse, the Wiki Media Foundation, with their hundreds of millions of dollars, is not even trying to stop it. They just have all but given up. Or perhaps they've purposefully given up. It's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. I want to read a couple of these pieces to you from this piratewires.com article by one Ashley Rinsberg. This is he's done a fantastic job. I'm going to read the top highlight bullet points to you. A coordinated campaign led by around 40 Wikipedia editors has worked to delegitimize Israel, present radical Islamist groups in a favorable light, and position fringe academic views on the Israel-Palestine conflict as mainstream over past years, intensifying after the October 7th attack. 6 weeks after October 7th, one of those editors successfully removed mentions of Hamas's 1988 charter, which calls for the killing of Jews and the destruction of Israel, from the article on Hamas. The group also appeared to attempt to promote the interests of the Iranian government across a number of articles, including deleting huge amounts of documented human rights crimes by Islamic Republic Party officials. A group called Tech for Palestine launched a separate but complementary campaign after October 7th, which violated Wikipedia policies by coordinating to edit Israel-Palestine articles on the group's 8,000-member Discord. Now, what's fascinating there is, even though they violated the Wikipedia policies, those edits are still in place. It's crazy. Tech for Palestine abandoned its efforts, and its members went into a panic after a blog discovered what they were doing. The group deleted all of its WikiTalk pages and sandboxes that they had been using to coordinate their editing efforts, and the main editor deleted all of her chats from the group's Discord channel. Okay. I'm going to read just a few quotes that I've highlighted here. The whole article is worth reading. I don't do this very often, but piratewires.com, this guy really went into and detail on the numbers, and he pulled out the calculators and the spreadsheets, and he did some math on this. Just kudos. That doesn't happen a whole lot in the tech journalism world, so thumbs up. So this is largely thanks, I'm just going to read a few quotes here. This is largely thanks to Google, which grants Wikipedia a most favored nation status, with articles automatically given the first spot on any topic related search result. This is kind of a key point here, is whatever Wikipedia makes Google blesses, right, and promotes to everyone else, and it doesn't necessarily have any sort of human interaction there whatsoever. It's just automatically blessed. If it's on Wikipedia, it's blessed and put in front of people on numerous search engines and across the board, which is crazy. That continues, Wikipedia article automatically anchored to the very top of the Google search results with its own knowledge panel to the right. That happens regularly when you search for darn near everything on Google. It's crazy. It's crazy. Wikipedia articles act as an unprotected backdoor to top Google search results, with the article's introduction often populating the knowledge panel on google.com, giving the impression Google has vetted this content when it hasn't. Malicious editors exploit this vulnerability, platforming fringe views and giving them priority over more reliable sources. We've seen this happen a ton of times. I mean, you can find find a topic that you are intensely knowledgeable of. But like is kind of contentious, like there's a group out there that disagrees with you, and then just start searching for it in Google and see how often that little knowledge panel at the top of the Google search results is populated by a Wikipedia article that has been just filled with just nonsense and propaganda. It's an amazing source of just fake data. It's crazy. This kind of coordination carried out by these groups violates many of Wikipedia's most fundamental policies, including one of its core content policies, the neutral point of view, right? Which states that Wikipedia aims to describe disputes but not engage in them, which they clearly violate constantly. It also violates the gaming the system guidelines, which prohibits editors from engineering victory in a content dispute. There's a great example of that down below. And they're violating the guidelines called canvassing, which prohibits secret coordination with the intention of influencing the outcome of a discussion in a particular way. Now, what's fascinating here, truly fascinating here, so that canvassing rule, right? Many years back, someone created a Wikipedia entry for me, okay? It was on there. It listed some of the publications I wrote for at the time and some of the podcasts I'd been on, and I think it mentioned a few shows I'd done and that sort of thing. It got deleted, and then someone else recreated another one. And then it got deleted. It kept getting deleted. And I thought this was funny because what was happening was Wikipedia editors were like, no, damn it, we will not have a Lunduke entry. We will not, right? So they would, no matter how many people created it, they would just go back in and delete it. So I thought that was hilarious. So on a show and I think on social media, I'm like, hey, whoever wants to go and create an article, have at it. You're just going to annoy all the Wikipedia editors. It was kind of a funny thing, right? To which the Wikipedia editors had just like this explosion internally where they considered me referencing this to be canvassing because I was essentially suggesting people go and create an article about me on Wikipedia, which was in violation of the rules of Wikipedia, and they just were filled with fury and rage. What's fascinating, though, is massive groups of individuals, almost all of which are of one particular political persuasion, do this regularly. And the Wikipedia editors and the Wiki Media Foundation either are for it or say it's not so great, but they allow it anyway. Right? So when someone's like, oh, it's funny that Lunduke doesn't have an article, maybe someone should create it. That's canvassing. It should not be allowed. But, you know, when the same thing happens and it impacts thousands of articles, it's totally fine if it agrees with their particular politics. You see how that works? Anyway, I continue. Quote from the article: to skirt this, the pro-Palestinian group leverages deep Wikipedia know-how to coordinate efforts without raising red flags. They work in small clusters, with only 2 or 3 active in the same article at any given time. On their own, many of these edits appear minor, even trivial, but together their scope is staggering, with 2 million edits made to more than 10,000 articles, a majority of which are Palestinian and Israeli or topically associated. crazy. So basically what they do is they say, okay, they work offline and they say, here's the Wikipedia article. Well, we need to make it so it's anti-Jew, anti-Israeli, anti-America, right? Those are the things that they do. Anti-Trump, anti-conservative, these sorts of things. And they say, okay, we're going to rewrite it to be this. This is the new page, and we're going to get rid of all the facts that don't fit our narrative, and we're going to get rid of all the real honest truth about it, and we're going to insert a ton of propaganda. They then each take a turn and they work in small little batches to go in there and do little tiny edits at a time. And not one of those edits may not be a big deal, but after you do, you know, dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens, sometimes thousands of edits to a set of articles, well, now you match the new propaganda filled with falsehoods article that they intended to get in there, and they snuck it in. This is crazy. This article goes into massive detail on multiple examples with tons of analysis on all this. It's fascinating. One of the individuals, quote, worked to sanitize articles on Hamas, in one case removing mention of Hamas's 1988 charter, which calls for the killing of all Jews and the destruction of Israel, from the article on Hamas, which is still intact. Like, as of the time of this article and the time I checked this before the video, that article on Hamas still had been edited so that it does not include that absolutely pivotal piece of factual data. To expand the reach, that individual went on editing rampages or speed runs. Last August, that person removed 22,000 characters from the article on Amnesty International that were critical of the organization. In one case, wholesale deleting a 1,000-word-long passage related to criticism of Amnesty International's stance on Israel, deleting stuff about the history of Israel and all sorts of stuff. I mean, these groups are very, very laser focused on a handful of topics. This article mostly talks about Israel and Palestine, Hamas and Iran related topics, but there are similar ones out there that focus on conservative or Republican politicians, history around civil rights movements, a lot of deleting of content related to, say, you know, Democrats' involvement in the KKK and things along those lines. A lot of that content has actually been removed over the last few years using these same strategies. It's absolutely fascinating how they work on this. Now, the article also points out that this isn't just like a singular person. This individual that they called out here is part of a group of editors that uses coordinated swarm tactics that, taken together, invert Wikipedia's founding vision, turning the site's perceived neutrality and authority into an attack vector that can be hijacked to advance ideological aims at mass scale. Absolutely fascinating. So other pro-Palestine group members, Palestine and Israeli edits from that period, place them among and this is crazy, the top 99.9% of Wikipedia editors, right? So altogether, the top 20 editors of this pro-Palestine group made over 850,000 edits to more than 10,500 articles, the majority of them in the Palestine-Israeli topic area or topically connected historical articles. I'm going to repeat something here because this is really critical. These individuals are among the top 99.9% of Wikipedia editors. That means what we're really talking about here is a hugely large percentage of the amount of edits that are occurring on Wikipedia right now are laser focused on attacking Jews and promoting Iran and promoting Hamas, Hezbollah, and other terrorist groups. And that is a factual thing. Like, you can look through, and this article does a fantastic job of linking to so much of the data. You can look through the number of edits that they're making, what type of articles they're looking at, and how it's all correlated together. That's most of the edits. Considering that Wikipedia covers supposedly the whole of human knowledge, the fact that we're talking about 99.9%, this is the top 0.1%, of all the editors are focused on this topic. Holy heavens. You know something is going wrong there. I mean, you just do, right? That's crazy. And after October 7th, the October 7th attacks last year, that intensity increased in a big way. And again, he's got massive charts and breakdowns, which he links to, and some of it's up on Wikipedia for you to check out. Absolutely fascinating. I'm going to scroll down here a little bit because there's a few other details that I found just mind-blowing. One of the articles targeted most intensively by the group is the one for Amin al-Husseini, the Mufti of Jerusalem from the 1920s to the 1950s, a pivotal figure in Palestinian history. That group, essentially two members of that group, together made over 1,000 edits to that article. A single article needing 1,000 edits. No. This is two people making 1,000 edits to a single article on this one guy, often in an attempt to erase or downplay al-Husseini's well-documented collaboration with Hitler. Yeah, this is crazy. So, I mean, al-Husseini, for those of you who don't know, very well documented. He collaborated with Hitler. He was a Nazi sympathizer. He worked with the Nazis. He worked with Hitler, and he's a core part of the history of the Palestinian people. And what's crazy about this is most of those edits remain in place. I went and took a look, and the article on that particular topic remains absolutely butchered to oblivion, to the point where it's not a factual accounting of history, at least not entirely. And then this goes in to show how this is possible, how this does not get stopped by anyone. Because what you have are, within Wikipedia, it's a volunteer system, right? So individuals who volunteer their time as editors and do the awful things that we just described, those editors end up having thousands of edits under their belt, which makes them look like they're big dogs, right? It makes them speak with authority now within the organization. All they did was delete facts and add in falsehoods, but it makes them look strong and powerful and authoritative. So whenever anyone disagrees with that, all that they have to do is coordinatedly attack the person who tried to stand up for the truth until that person relents and goes away. And in that way, these volunteers can completely control and dominate all of Wikipedia. I'm going to read this paragraph to you now because it really showcases this. In one instance, in April of 2021, Zero and Nishidani, two user accounts, worked together to keep a photo of al-Husseini touring a Nazi concentration camp with Adolf Hitler's blessing, out of this article, right? While a single editor, Shane, someone named Shane, a new editor, advocated for inclusion of that photo because it's a historically significant photo. A trio of veterans, including Zero, Nishidani, and Self-Studier, fought back. After Self-Studier accused Shane of being a troll for arguing for the photo's inclusion, Zero, days later, objected to its inclusion as well, citing issues of provenance. Nishidani stepped in to back up Zero, prompting a response by Shane, who was like, hey, maybe we should include this. This is a historically significant photo. But the following day, Zero pushed back against Shane, who responded again. And the day after that, Nishidani returned with his own pushback. The tag team effort proved too much for Shane, who simply gave up. And the effort succeeded. The photo remains absent. To date, Nishidani's contributions to the article on al-Husseini comprise 56.4% of its content. That's right. So if you look up this historically significant figure, over half of the Wikipedia article is written by someone who is purposefully filling it with propaganda, deleting factual content, and covering up for anything that would not go too well, right? It's going to make that historical figure not look too great. Over half of the content. And what they do is they tag team people. They barrage people in order to bully them into not contributing facts to Wikipedia anymore. It's crazy. One editor worked with a separate editor to delete, quote, huge amounts of documented human rights claims by Iranian officials. And a lot of this gets noticed, right? It gets noticed by some of the good Wikipedia editors that exist. There are plenty who want to have facts in there, and they raise this to arbitration. Now, Wikimedia has an arbitration system built into it, where people can raise these conflicts to be looked into. However, and I'm going to read this quote here, Wikipedia's arbitrators noted that the final decision-making panel in an arbitration is staffed by 12 volunteers, only 10 of whom are active. Quote, it's clear that the arbitration enforcement has run out of steam to handle the morass of public conduct issues related to Palestine and Israeli content, as well as Iranian content and others. The Palestine and Israeli arbitration issue is a Gordian knot, and the arbitration and enforcement team has run short of knot detanglers, end quote. Okay, that's a way to put it. And the article continues, though Wikimedia Foundation, which owns the site, has around $500 million in assets. So here we go again, $500 million ready to go. Because of the air gap between Wikipedia and Wikimedia Foundation and the volunteer ethos of Wikipedia's mission, not a penny can be used to hire people to oversee contentious projects. Now, I'm gonna call out the author here, piratewires.com. This article is fantastic. That sentence is incorrect. Wikimedia Foundation, they can spend money to hire all sorts of people to work on topics related to Wikipedia. It simply has to get voted on by their board, which includes the founder, one of the founders, Jimmy Wales. They simply don't want to, right? So they have the funds. They simply do not want to. The board has the power in the Wikimedia Foundation to do that. They do not want to do that, right? So it's not that they can't hire people to oversee contentious topics or to handle arbitration and the like. They simply don't want to, right? Wikimedia makes a tremendous amount of money, and they also have very distinct political leanings. And the individuals that they would be essentially fighting against here are people that have the same political leanings they do. So they're not going to spend that money in that way. It's a fascinating article. I highly recommend reading it. I want to read one last little tidbit here. Yeah, I'm just going to read the closing paragraph, because the closing paragraph by Mr. Rinsberg is just truly fantastic. Quote, one of the hallmarks of an institution in crisis is that, far from preparing for the future, it is barely capable of managing the present. With ArbCom, with their arbitration, grinding to a halt, and edit wars erupting in all corners, all while Wikimedia Foundation, fiddling to the Baroque tunes of DEI, has turned its attention to funding progressive activism. It seems Wikipedia is facing exactly this challenge. In most cases, calling a crisis existential is overblown. While Wikipedia may not be there just yet, it's clear that moment is not far off. End quote. I thought that was a nice closing. I would add to that. I would say that it is there for most of us. It's at the point when you know for a fact that the editors of historical document portions of Wikipedia are purposefully editing it to not be accurate. Like, the point of it is propaganda and inaccurate propaganda, because you can have accurate propaganda, that's possible, but this is purposefully deceptive propaganda. And over half of many of these pages, such as some of the ones we talked about here, are written solely by individuals with the clear intent of providing false information. I would suggest that means that you cannot rely on Wikipedia for anything. It's growing so bad that it is not a reliable source of information, period. Now, a lot of that may simply be because of the structure of Wikipedia, the fully volunteer nature of it, the sometimes, but sometimes not hands-off nature of the foundation, which is, worth hundreds of millions of dollars and just refuses to step in to clean things up. I would say that regardless, whatever the reasons for the downfall of Wikipedia, whatever the root causes for the complete destruction of the information within it, not just relating to Israel or Palestine or Iran or conservatives or Trump or Republicans or whatever the current target of mass edits are at this given month or year. Regardless of that, it's at a point where it is simply not a reliable source of information, so it cannot be trusted. It's at the point now where if I read something on Wikipedia, I assume fake. I assume false until I verify it elsewhere. And sometimes I can, and sometimes I can't. But I have no reason to believe that information on Wikipedia is accurate at this point. And that's, to me, that is the hallmark of the destruction of an encyclopedia. If you picked up a full copy of the Encyclopedia Britannica, that takes up the full shelf and then some of your bookcase, just to fill A through Z of every single edition of the Encyclopedia Britannica, and you pulled it off the shelf, and over 50% of it was false, and you found out that people writing topics on all sorts of it were anonymous individuals with a stated goal of providing false information, are you gonna then use the Encyclopedia Britannica on your shelf to let your kids do their school reports, to look up information on history? No, at that point you just burn the gosh darn books because they're garbage. And I'm pretty opposed to book burning here, but at that point, it's garbage. I would go out on a limb and say Wikipedia is absolute garbage now. Once again, this is a fantastic piece, piratewires.com. Go check it out. It's worth reading. It's long. It's a great article. More like this, please. To all the tech journalists out there, do like this tech journalist, because you'll note I called out a couple of lines in there where I'm like, okay, this isn't 100% correct, but the clear effort in this article to be accurate and detailed and provide all of it. And sure, the author clearly showed that the author himself had a little bit of bias. That's fine. But the factualness, the detail there were fantastic, absolutely glorious, and just fantastic reporting. I hope more tech journalists take note that we need more things like this. It's absolutely glorious. But yes, Wikipedia it's toast. Come on. It's dead. This is the end. Will it continue to be a business? Well, sure it will. There's hundreds of millions of dollars at stake. There's going to be me coming out and saying this article coming out. There's going to be people that attack the author of that piece. There're going to be people that attack me for saying these things. It's unavoidable. There's so much money behind it, and there's so much potential influence in the ability to control what people think about very contentious topics that they're not going to give up on that. Now, you'll note, if you go on over to X right now, even Elon Musk himself has taken notice of this, retweeted or re-X'd or posted or whatever the word is now, this particular article, and said, quote, this is Elon, Wikipedia is controlled by far-left activists. People should stop donating to them. Hear, hear, man. Hear, hear. And again, I'll call attention to the Wiki Piggy Bank article I wrote quite over a year ago, where we show very clearly that they use almost none of their money, like pennies on the dollar, if that, to actually keep Wikipedia running. And they take all the rest of that money, that hundreds of millions of dollars, and they put it into different investment type things, and they use it for political activism, extreme political activism. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And all the while they're doing that, they're coming at you with big pop-ups like, oh my gosh, you're gonna need to donate to us soon, or we're gonna go away. They say this dire stuff all the time. Without reader contributions, we couldn't run Wikipedia. It's nonsense. They literally, with the amount of money they have on hand, from interest alone, considering how much they actually spend on system administrations and servers and the like, they absolutely could run Wikipedia just on interest. Just on interest. But they're not content with that. They're going to keep pushing hard political agendas and an absolute, and I'm going to say this flat out, war on truth. Because Wikipedia can step in. The Wiki Media Foundation has the funds and the board ability to step in and fix Wikipedia. They don't want to. Why don't they want to? Ask them. But it's clearly a war on the truth. With that, I just want to say thank you to the Lunduke Journal supporters, subscribers at lunduke.com, lunduke.locals.com. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, nerds and nerdettes across this big old wide inner tube of ours, I do declare, end broadcast.